Hey Healy Club members, welcome to 2021. This year's going to be a little different, thank God. We're going to have a newsletter, but it's going to be a virtual. Steve Bailey has had to retire from doing the newsletter, so like the other videos I made, we're going to do a virtual newsletter, and we're going to have information we can get talking to people on the phone and all of that, and we're going to not be able to have a party, so we're going to have to do the meeting on who the new officers are and the awards here today. So I will be doing the videos in the future. Just keep it going, Paul. It'll be fun. And now what we're going to do is we have our new president in. So Ken Fleming is going to come up and tell us what's happening in the club.
Thank you, Alan. I'm excited to be your president this year. I've had a little arm twisting to do it, but I'm actually happy to be leading the club this year. This will be an interesting year for us. 2020 was obviously a year that most of us want to forget, from being able to enjoy our cars and enjoy each other. My goal this year is to bring us back together, and it will be a little different. It gives us an opportunity to try things different, as Alan said. Newsletter will be video. We may not have as many meetings as soon as we would like, but we want to get back to sharing each other's companies and enjoying our cars together. With that said, as I mentioned, there will be some changes. One of the good changes that we have, which is a first for the club, is, as Alan said, I'll be the president for this year. We have made a change, and we will have co-vice presidents and activities chairmen, an East and a West. So I'm happy to announce that Jennifer Vinson will be our East Vice President Activities person, and Bob Simmons will be our vice versa. Jennifer will be our West Vice President and Activities Chairman, and Bob will be our East Vice President and Activities Chairman. This will allow us to really have some activities going on for the year in both regions. We think it's a good change. It's a first for our club, and we're very excited about that. Also this year, Gary Bryton will be our Treasurer and Membership Chairman. Alan Hendricks will remain as our delegate for the year. And so we have a good slate of officers that we think will serve us well for this year. So look forward to a lot of good things happening. We'll be working hard to make sure that you have a chance to get out and enjoy your cars and enjoy each other. And 2021 will definitely be better than 2020. Another one of our great tasks as presidents is to announce the awards for the year. And we typically would have this done at our banquet, but obviously this year we were not able to have the banquet. This year we have two awards that we will give out. The first one is the Member of the Year Award. And this person really kept our club going for the year. And that person is Stephen Bailey. Stephen kept our newsletter going, kept us informed of activities, really did a fantastic job in keeping us informed of what's going on. So I'm happy to announce that our Member of the Year this year is Stephen Bailey.
And the crowd goes wild. Let's hear it. Yay! Woo!
Our second award has traditionally been called the Competitor Award. This year we're naming it the Competitor/Driver Award. And this person has really done a yeoman's job in putting together activities for us to drive, activities and information and beautiful sites to drive to. And this year's recipient of our Driver Competitor Award is none other than Bob Simmons.
Bob, and the crowd goes wild. Yay, Bob! Now, you can afford the other half of the wheel, you get to drive more.
Next on our agenda, I want to announce Cliff Hudgens. Cliff participated in the first Zoom delegates meeting, which was the first for our national club. From all the indications, the meeting went very well. There were a lot of things discussed. Obviously, with the way 2020 went, there were a lot of changes that were discussed and made and plans put in place for next year. So this time we're going to have Cliff come forward and talk about the delegates meeting and also give us a view of activities on the calendar for 2021. These activities are tentative, but it's something that you can kind of mark or save the date on your calendar for. Cliff?
Thank you, Ken. Why don't we start with the calendar? And again, as he mentioned, Ken mentioned, this is highly tentative, as everything has been tentative for the last 9 months. Get the right paperwork. But there are some dates out there. Looking ahead to March 20th to 21st, the SVRA, that is a Vintage Racing Association, they are having a track weekend in Charlotte Motor Speedway. And what they are looking for are old cars to show up, pay them $75, but allow them to park their cars, have a little corral, watch the vintage races, and otherwise have a good time. It's all outdoors. This might happen. That is March 20th to 21st. Check out SVRA's website for more information. But that may have some interest. The next Saturday, March 27th. This is an event that me and Pete Delaney have attended a couple of times, and this is the Tartan Day that happens at the Columbia Speedway in Columbia, South Carolina. This track is an old NASCAR track. It hadn't been used in decades, and it's weird. It's pieces of it are still, well, most of it is still there, but it's like a circle. I've never seen a true circle or circular track, so I imagine it was pretty entertaining to drive. And it looked like when you went over the edge of the wall, you fell down the other side. But anyway, Tartan Day is more than just a British car show. Actually, the British cars are kind of off to the side. The main action at Tartan Day is for folks who are of Scottish, Irish lineage to get together. It's like a clan meeting of sorts. Not that kind of clan. But they have booths for each of the families, each of the clans. They have booths where you can go and sign up and do family research. They have other people who are selling stuff. They have people who do the cosplay thing. That's where people dress up like knights and little princesses, and they have the hats that are like 4 foot high and have a little taffeta coming off the top of it. It's pretty wild. They have Irish dancing sessions that you can watch. So there's lots of food, all sorts of food booths, all types of food. So this is a pretty entertaining little event. It's a little bit of a drive. It's in Columbia, but hour and a half you can be there. Next is an event that you're probably familiar with, and that is our good old gathering, which will be once again at the Shelton Winery in Dobson. The gathering weekend will be April 16th through the 18th. It has the same calendar or same schedule of events as it normally would, where they have the auction on Friday night. Alan, are you?
Yes, I'll still be auctioneer.
Yeah, Alan will be one of the auctioneers and will sponsor the event as he has done for many years. Saturday will be the car show itself, along with awards, and they have various other things going on, wrench racing and all kinds of little things. And then they'll have a Sunday morning track event, which I think is done at the community college. It's in Dobson.
Yes.
So right now it's a go. So if the weather's good and the C word goes away, make plans to be there. April 24th, we're holding this Saturday open for the Uwari picnic. This is something I have dearly missed because we did not get to have it at all this past year. They're normally held spring and fall. But we're keeping that Saturday open. Doug has made no indications of whether he's going to be able to do it or not. It's completely dependent on what happens with the virus. But keep your fingers crossed. And then finally in May, we are looking at an event in California, which is our national conclave. It will be May 16th through the 21st. It is in Big Bear Lake, California. That is kind of southern California, kind of closer to Nevada though. Kind of northeast of Los Angeles. If you're familiar where San Bernardino is, then you just kind of go up east and north of there. It's a very beautiful area. They have already sold out 168 registrations as of November. So this thing is technically sold out. But if you want to go, they'll try to make room for you. But you're going to have to talk to them quickly. Again, we think it's a go. California is having a very rough time right now. If that does not improve, it will probably have to be canceled. But you can't can't plan for it till you plan for it. So try to make it. And that is it for the spring events that I am aware of. You cut it. Okay. Ready? All right. Let's now talk about the delegates meeting. I have written one of my infamous 4-page documents that summarizes some of the things that went on. The actual minutes to this event or this meeting were like 25 pages. So a lot of things happened, and I just want to kind of hit the highlights for you. So again, thanks to our coronavirus that we're living in now, this had to be done virtually on Zoom. We had to make some changes in how we processed that event or executed that event in order to make it even work on Zoom. Now, I can think of, when planning for this, I can think of nothing worse than trying to get 50 old men trying to use a computer in a Zoom meeting all at the same time. The potential for disaster was off the scale. But I will say, we did everything we could. We had training sessions that went on in the weeks before the event. We got as much information out before the event for people to read and digest before the meeting, so people could kind of actually go in prepared. A few people actually did that. And it went, in the end, it went very smoothly. Surprisingly smoothly. So, yay for that. It, of course, brings up the question, what do we do next year? We'll get to that here in a minute. So, in terms of some of the highlights. So we have some turnover in the officers for this year. In 2021, I will stay in my position as VP of Club Support. Gary Feldman will do his last year, and he means it this time, his last year as president. So we are definitely got a job in trying to find someone that can replace him, fill his shoes. Don Klein, at VP of Safety, has stepped down, and he has Jeff Parada taking his place. Jeff is also a member of the Ohio Valley Club, and unusually, he's about 35 years old. So just the right demographic that we're trying to get into this. Very motorsports oriented. He runs a shop for sprites, competition sprites. So he should be an excellent fit for that role, for that position. Many of you know Edie Lowry. She's been a long time active person in the officer scene. She's going to return to her role as secretary starting next year. Pete Sturdivant, who was the secretary this past year, is sliding into the VP of Promotions. Ben Moore, who has been VP Promotions for a long time, had a baby a year ago, and he's ready to do something else, and you can't blame him for that. So he's going to step aside, and Pete Sturdivant is going to take over the VP of Promotions. Then you have, did I miss anybody? Mike Schneider will continue as the membership director. Who am I missing? I know I'm missing somebody. Oh, anyway, that's who I got written down here, so we'll go with that. Treasurers, of course. Bev Seelan will continue as the treasurer. I knew I was forgetting something. Speaking of treasury, when we set the budget in November 2 years ago now, in November of 18 for the 2020, November 2018 for the 20, November 2019 for the 2020 year, we actually had to budget a deficit, and this is because we have not increased dues in the last decade. There'll be more on that here in a minute, and it's been 10 years since we last had a dues increase. So now we are kind of in a deficit situation, but the good news, probably the only good news from the coronavirus, is because there was so little going on, so few travel expenses, the fact that we had to do the delegates meeting virtually turned out saving us a bunch of money. So basically the club broke even for the 2020 year, even though it was budgeted to lose perhaps $25,000. So that pushed the dues increase discussion off for another year. Some other good news on the financial front is it was noted that the Healy mark which is, I don't know, if you've been in the club for a long time, you've probably noticed that our national magazine has done nothing but get better every year for the last 15 years that Reed Trummel has been our editor. It has gone from a good publication to a great publication. Award-winning publication. Best news of all, the cost to produce that magazine today is the same as it was 15 years ago. That's despite huge increases in printing costs and postage costs. He's just found ways each year to save just a little bit more here and there, and he's kept the overall cost the same for us. One other change, this is not an officer, this is an appointed position, but one other change I do want to mention. Lori Wilford has been our commercial ad manager for a while, 5-6 years. He is going to be stepping down, and a gentleman from the Gulf Coast Texas Club is going to take over. His name is Vince Barnell. And Vince is very enthusiastic. He's in the sales business. And it's sounding to me like that's what he plans on doing. So, Alan, get ready.
Already paid Vince.
Already paid him.
He already got a hold of me right away. I know him well.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay. Other news. You may have noticed. What? Oh, we're good? You may have noticed that we've taken a little bit different approach with renewals. And we're going to talk about that more in a minute, about what you should do here in Triad to be renewed for next year. But the big change is, again, to save money, and this saves about $3,000, is we did not mail renewal forms this past year. Instead, you've seen the ads in the magazine about going online and renewing. You've gotten probably some emails saying you should go online and renew. And that is still an option. If you like using the website and taking that approach, more power to you. It works just fine. But for those of you who are like me, and even though I work in the software business, I still am not huge on throwing money at the internet. We got a better approach, and then we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's see what else we got. We talked about Big Bear Conclave. Just to mention there, for people who I know are planning on going, Kathy and I are planning on going. The Irwins are going. John and Paula Brown, Ken and Vanita Fleming. Melvin is going. It's going to be Melvin's 80th birthday. Did I get that? Yeah, he's going to have his 80th birthday out there. So should be some people to talk to for folks from Triad. Looking ahead a little bit, 2022, we will have another enclave. And what an enclave is, it's a combination of our conclave and also the Encounter, which is the annual event by the Sports and Touring Club. That will be in September, mid-September of 2022. It will be in the Poconos Mountains of Pennsylvania. There's a big resort there called Kalahari, and they are already planning and getting ready for that. Those of you who went to Gettysburg, the last time we had an enclave in 2015, it was a tremendous event, 300 cars, just a tremendous turnout. So you don't want to miss that, so go ahead and start your planning now. Directory report. So as you probably noticed, the directory that was printed last year was, let's just call it a flawed document. We had some errors in it, missing various people. Some clubs missed a few people, the other clubs missed a lot of people. And it's something that the national group is actually ashamed of, and we do apologize for the errors that did come into it. Because of that, even though we were planning on going every other year with the directory, instead we will print another directory in 2021 to make up for it. Next item. Insurance for 2021. This is a deep subject. I don't know that I want to talk about it. Okay, good.
We'll send hard copy.
Yeah. So I've got, of these 4 pages, there's a page about the insurance changes for 2021. Be sure and read it. It will be in the email attachment. Okay, we talked about the possible dues increase. Let's talk about the budget briefly. So this year's budget for the 2021 year that was approved by the delegates actually shows a deficit of nearly $38,000. That seems like a high number. It's a number I'm not particularly happy about, although I'm only one voter out of 40 or 50. Some of the feedback that I got as to why this was going to be okay, or at least okay for a year, is that we have about $100,000 in reserves. As I mentioned before, the strategy that we've used in the past is to not do dues increases every year. In fact, the plan was to do them about every 5 years. And so what you would have in a 5-year window is you would be running excess surpluses in those first couple of years, then you break even in the 3rd year, and then you start running deficits in years 4 and 5. And you got to year 5, well, then you would have a dues increase. Over the last 10 years, we stretched that out. We talked about some of the savings that we've had in the magazine. We found some of the savings in other places. So instead of a 5-year window, we managed a 10-year window. But that window has now closed, clearly. So when we come into 2022, there will be a dues increase. And my fear, unless we can find some savings, is that increase could be on the order of perhaps $20. So instead of a $50 due for the national dues, it could be a $70 dues for 2022. Nothing's been decided or voted on or even discussed at this stage, but it could happen. That is a concern. I know that we have a lot of folks, particularly in our club, they're on fixed incomes, and we hear you, we know. And we will do everything we can to minimize that so we can keep everything on board. And with that, I think that's everything that we need to discuss.
All right, well, everybody, that was our first of our kind of virtual video newsletter. These things that were talked about, there's hard copies from Cliff. That will be an attachment that you can open up and read it at your point. The people who are going to be handling Bob and Jennifer events, they're going to be with attachments. The schedule is going to have attachments also, but I'll also be doing videos. Our first video, by the way, is our past president, Dr. Bill Kramer, this week, who was inoculated in a trial with Cohen Hospital over 6 weeks ago with the Pfizer vaccine. So he's got some information for y'all wondering what it's like. He's already experienced it, and we're going to do a fireside phone call chat. Now on memberships, as we knew that we had a problem with the book and our directory and people getting in the wrong clubs and people would sign up and end up in Tidewater and end up in Carolinas, we have the cure. And that is, some of you are still sending stuff in and say, I can't go in. You will do this. Mail your check, $50 for national, $10 for our club, is $60 dues, to this address. That will be an attachment to the newsletter. And if you need any information also or want to share information, this will be there. That's my contact information. So you'll be able to give me feedback, tell me I want to see this, ask questions. And that's about it, other than our president now will say goodbye.
I want to thank Alan and Cliff and our behind-the-scenes person, Mr. Paul Boone.
Paul Boone.
Paul Boone for
Behind the camera.
Yeah, behind the camera is Paul Boone.
And the last thing I'll say is that this role is not a singular role. It will take everybody in the club, and I invite everybody in the club to join us in making this a good year. I'm open to ideas. My contact information is readily available. But one thing I will ask is that we're going to do a real good job of trying to put on events and activities to bring us back together. What I need from the club is for you to be active and to participate. We want people to come out when it's safe. We look forward to seeing you. We have missed being around you. We miss seeing your cars, and we miss seeing you. Now, don't ask us to choose between the cars and you, but we miss seeing both of you. So get out and drive your Heelys if you can. Look forward to 2021. We're looking forward to it. It will be a little different. We will make it as good as we can, and we hope everybody has a prosperous new year, and keep healing.
Come on,
Come on,
2021.
2021!